What a wonderful, amazing, iconic evening. I'm KP.
And I'm Josh. Welcome to the Nightly from Hatch, a slumber party for pop culture lovers. Tonight, we have a real slumber party going on because we're joined by Morgan Starr-Riestis. She's a therapist and the host of Hatch's Nervous System Rest Meditations. Welcome, Morgan.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Hi, Morgan.
Hello.
So Morgan, I'm so excited to talk to you about nervous system rest a little later. But first, I'm curious if you have anything to share about your own bedtime routine, like sleep habits, sleep hygiene. We love to ask guests about that and just get tips for our listeners. So is there anything that you do regularly before bed?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm really big on repetitions before I go to bed, especially as your brain is starting to go into lower frequencies of your brain waves. And one of the things that I really love doing, I do nervous system regulation, but I think this is maybe a little bit juicier of a detail. I actually record my own voice using affirmations and things that I'm really wanting to believe at that time and really wanting to fill my perception with as I'm going to bed. And I record it, and this is not sponsored or anything, it's just the app I use. I really love the app Parrot, like the bird. It's a very simple app. All it does is record your voice and then it loops it over and over and over again. So as I'm going to bed, I'll play that, and sometimes we'll pair it with some binaural beats or, something that kind of like slows down the mind, but also has some of the affirmations. So that's one of the things that I do that's maybe more unique.
Cool.
It's kind of like a nightly little audio vision board.
Exactly.
Just kind of getting into the zone. That's lovely.
Are there any affirmations that have been like really working for you lately? Or is that too private? I don't mean to pry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Yeah. Ooh, what's a really good one that feels edgy for me right now? Because some of them are big goals, especially with 2026, like we're kind of these big visions. And one of them, I'm in the process of writing a book right now, and it feels stretchy for me to really, thank you, to claim I'm going to be a New York Times bestselling author. Like that feels stretchy and scary to claim. And it's something that the more that I expose my brain to it and my perception to it, the more that becomes normalized, the more that becomes safe to feel like, I can claim that. I can feel that. I can talk about it on a podcast episode. So if I didn't hear that often, that might still be in a territory that was like, ooh, can I step into that? And I'm really big into, we don't do what we want in terms of what our goals are. We do who we believe we are. And so I think that affirmation can really reaffirm like, ooh, okay, I'm a New York Times bestselling author. And it's like stepping into that identity is
cool.
Yeah. This is kind of like dress for the job you want.
Yeah.
You're showing up, dressing for the person you are.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Well, good luck. I'm
Thank you.
Excited to see the fruits of your labor with this affirmation and see how far it takes you. That's so exciting.
Thank you.
We're book lovers on this podcast too, so we will all be grabbing a copy, I'm sure.
Thank you.
I was just talking with Kristen, one of our co-hosts, and she told me she's doing a project where she's trying to read a book that takes place like firmly in each of the 50 states this year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So she's going to read 50
goal.
books a year?
She told me she read 240 books last year.
Okay, I have some questions on this. And not that I don't believe her because she's extremely truthful. I know that. I have to imagine some of these are audiobooks. There's no way you're nose down in a book that often. You can't be physically.
I think that's fair.
And how long are the books too? Because I'm definitely a fantasy novel reader, and some of those books get upwards 1,000+ pages. So are we reading a short poem book, or are we?
She's counting brochures and menus.
She's getting menus.
The only menu I'd say you can count is the Cheesecake
That's
Factory.
true.
That one's big enough to be a book.
Thrilling conclusion. Chocolate lava cheesecake. I did not see that coming. Practically Pompeii.
I mean, it's so intimate to ask, but how many books did you guys read this year?
I actually read every single Sarah J. Maas book that is out there. So
Whoa.
You're in a safe space.
I think that's maybe 12, or I don't know how many that is, 16. I don't know.
She's A Court of Thorns and Roses. Is that Sarah J. Maas?
She is.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. But she has other series that it's a gateway book.
Okay.
Court of Thorn and Roses is a gateway book to her. And honestly, I think because I'm so often learning things and really in the neuroscience of stuff, and really sometimes I just need just something easy to let my brain
Absolutely.
rest. And yeah, so
I
that's kind of my
absolutely
guilty
think that.
pleasure,
You
if you
don't
will.
you don't have to let yourself off the hook. I only do things that are easy.
We've got a lot to learn from you then.
Thank you.
Reading is like always a net positive to me. I am like, it is good to read. It's good for my brain. So it's okay if I'm reading, junk food. That's fine because it's good to be reading it all. So I read the whole Court of Thorns and Roses 2 years ago. And then my friends did hire a fairy for my birthday party that year. So that's an interesting thing that you can just do.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I love that for you.
Yeah. She came with little wings on, and she said it was her only adult party she's ever done.
That's so funny. Oh my gosh. Oh, so so this really, not to make this too adult, but she wasn't like used to being like, I'm a sensual fairy. She was used to being
Well,
like
she was not
Tinkerbell.
sensual.
Okay.
She was not sensual that whole
Got
time,
it.
I must say. She was just face painting.
Got it.
But when I say adult party, I mean like not a children's
Right.
party. It wasn't like it was like
No, but just meaning like coming from
spicy 18 plus party.
inspired by reading romantasy.
Right.
More
yes,
than just
correct.
It's
more
a
than just having.
natural thought to think that it would be maybe a more sensual experience.
Yeah, I didn't think it was like, okay, everybody, group massage or whatever.
No, she was very professional and she just painted some faces. It was lovely. Well, okay, Sarah J. Maas is always kind of a Roman Empire, but I want to see if there's any other specific ones that we all have been thinking about. Josh and Morgan, what is something random, a Roman Empire that you've been thinking about way too much recently?
Josh, you go for it.
Okay, I think I might have brought this up, but it's gotten so much deeper than the last time we've talked about it, which is I have a little pug. She's so cuddly, but she hates most dogs and images of dogs on TV, but also her perception on TV of what is an enemy is so vast. And we know it's not just like a little growl. She will jump off the couch and put her paws up on the entertainment center and like snap right at the screen. But we're always kind of like cataloging what she perceives as a threat to our household. And so most dogs on TV, for sure. She's like, that's a dog. Dogs are my enemies. Some other animals, like big cats occasionally, understandable.
Sure.
Maris, my wife, put on, this is the only time she tried it on purpose. She put on an episode of Bluey, the children's cartoon about a dog. Our dog Maggie was like, yep, gotta kill whatever that is.
That's kind of compliments to the animators. You
Yeah,
really
I
made it
think
look like a dog.
real dog-like energy. Recently, someone riding a mechanical bull set her off. She was like, yep, that's got to be eliminated. And then the most recent one that like really made me laugh, there was a Dunkin' commercial and there were, they had anthropomorphized those munchkins, the donut holes. So they had faces and were like talking and singing. And Maggie was like, oh, you thought you were going to sneak into my house looking like donuts? No, thank you. And she ran at the TV and I was laughing so hard. I was trying to take a picture, but
Even the munchkins.
so like testing the limits of what does my dog think is a dog has become my Roman Empire. It's like, it takes up like every room in my mind palace the last 2 months.
Morgan, do you have any TV watching pets?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I live on a farm right now with 42 cows, so they don't watch TV, but they do make a lot of noise sometimes. Yeah.
We got to get a projector screen out there to see. Maybe they'll just want to watch a little
Ooh,
something.
that'd be, yeah. Well, I have seen videos where cows will come to listen to music and things. So
Wow.
it'd be interesting to see
yeah.
if they visually would react to things. I don't know.
I have
That's
seen those
cool.
same ones where people bring like, an acoustic guitar out and all the cows are
They'll
stoked.
huddle
They
around
run
and
on
are
all
really
over.
interested.
That's
Yeah.
really cute.
Yeah.
That's really cute. When you say they get noisy, is it like noisy enough that if you're inside, you're like, keep it down out there, cows?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah.
Whoa.
Sometimes I'll have to disclose. Maybe it's a podcast episode, but maybe it's just a call, a Zoom call or something. It's like, sorry, the cows are about to get fed. And you can hear them. They're very excited.
Oh, sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Morgan, do you have a Roman Empire that's coming to mind lately?
Yes, I'm deeply fascinated by human perception. And one of the kicks that I've been on recently is the reticular activating system or the reticular activation system, whichever one you
Oh.
want to use. And the way that I like to think about it is sort of like your brain's algorithm, if you will. It's that
Hmm.
same thing where if you're shopping for shoes or maybe you're shopping for a Volvo or something, and then you start seeing Volvos everywhere.
Yes,
It's
yes,
that
yes,
it's
yes,
that
yes.
same function in your brain
Hmm.
because you can only take in so much information at once. So your brain needs to
Hmm.
naturally, in the same way you can't watch all the information and videos on YouTube or Instagram or whatever, the algorithm is making it so that everything that you want to see more of, you're going to see more of, and it filters it out, right? Your brain's doing
Mm.
that same thing through the RAS, reticular activation system. So I just find the
Hmm.
reticular activation system to be that interesting bridge of the more that we focus on, the more that we start bringing in those opportunities. And I just find that perception fascinating and it's that bidirectional thing. So I just get so nerdy about it. But I'm also such a brain nerd, so that makes sense that that's where my head goes. So
Are there examples of it, like of that you clock with people in your life or in your own life? Or like, oh, I'm feeding my brain's own algorithm with this, and I didn't realize
yeah,
it.
both in good and bad ways.
Mm,
I can even catch myself with certain beliefs or things. And I'm like, wait, why am I even thinking that? I need to actually pause, take a moment, and find evidence for the opposite sometimes. Like there might be a
mm,
belief
Mm.
that comes up of, like, I'm limiting the story of what my life can be or what my relationships can be or whatever it is. And then I stop and I say, actually, wait, what other ways can I prove that that doesn't have to be the case? And so
wow.
I find
Hmm.
myself doing that a lot and to really it takes some self-awareness obviously, but it's a really powerful thing. You can take back a lot of autonomy when you say, "Hey, actually, I'm going to go find evidence for what's possible." And I love that kind of trend that's going around right now of just like kind of being delusional at a certain point. Of course,
Yeah.
there's clinical delusion, and I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about why not dream as big as you can and then go find evidence for how that's possible.
I think that stuff is so fascinating. And I'm East Coast, so I grew up very anti woo woo because over there I felt like some they got a bad attitude, I'll say it. And this past year I was living in New York and I was like, where I'm supposed to live will just reveal itself to me. And I'm just gonna be, after a breakup, open to a new relationship and a new way of living. And just that month, my friend moved out of his place and was like, "Do you want to take over my lease?" I said, "Absolutely." And then I started dating a lovely person. So I feel like everything sort of happened really nicely in these ways where you're like, oh, it's being open to possibilities.
That's like really beautiful. The idea of making yourself open to a possibility, right? And like telling your mind like, hey, look for these opportunities rather than like telling yourself like, I have these limits. And if my friend moves out of their place and says, do you want to live there for a while? You would instead go like, no, I couldn't possibly do that. And you're like, yeah, I'm open to
Yeah,
that. I think that's so cool.
totally.
And but see, that's that your reticular activation system says, okay, I'm going to start finding evidence in my external
Uh
world,
huh.
and I'm going to say this is this thing I'm going to go after. And now my perception is hyper fixated on
Yeah.
seeing all the opportunities that are around. And then what way is that actually just manifestation? Like what way is that
Mm hmm.
just hacking your brain to
Yeah.
bring in more of what you want?
That's so interesting, right? Because it's like how you sort the information, right? Like in a way where if you're like, oh, I can't afford this place, I'm gonna have to move. And when you start looking for that evidence, you'll go like, oh, my friend invited me on this trip and I didn't have the money or I had to pay the rent, so I made the safe choice and didn't go on this trip. That's more evidence that I'm living a life I can't afford. Whereas if you're going, I am going to make my life such that I can continue to afford this home, all the pieces of evidence of like it's working out will start to feel like the vital important ones. Is that kind of it, or is that part of it?
Hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, and I think reality can be a lot more moldable than we think. And I'm not saying go make bad financial decisions or something, but I sometimes I
I'm going
think
to
we
anyway.
we
I don't need your permission.
we put ourselves into boxes a lot more and we tell ourselves limiting stories. And sometimes it's just important to remember that at one point phones was a pretty wild out there idea. I think about if we went back however many hundreds of years, that would have been witchcraft and burned at the stake for having a phone, or flying. We take flying for granted nowadays, and at one point somebody had to say, I think I would like to build something that has us fly. And that
Yeah.
was probably a super crazy out there idea at the time too. So I like to think about it sometimes to just expand what's possible. It's like, well, why not just come up with a wild idea and we're going to go do it and go find evidence of people that have already done it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's really beautiful. What a lovely way to think about your own life.
And I love the like science tying in, and it's nice to like nerd out on the stuff that we are directly in. We all have brains.
We do have brains and they run most of our life, our brains and nervous systems, because
Yeah.
I think a lot of the time, I'm so glad that the field of psychology and neuroscience and just general public has started to update to where we're not just this brain up in our heads, we're also an entire nervous system that impacts our whole perception. And so I'm such a nerd about it. So you can just get me going.
Well, speaking of, this is kind of a perfect segue in. You are the host, of course, of Hatch's Nervous System Rest Meditation. Can you explain kind of what that entire thing is and why it's helpful in general?
Yeah, sure. So I created a whole meditation series for folks to essentially reset their nervous systems and prep for bed, and also proactively set your next day up for more success. Because most of the time, we don't realize how dysregulated our nervous systems are. And honestly, our whole lives become harder when we are dysregulated. Our prefrontal cortex, which is a very important part of our brain that helps us come up with solutions, communicate well, just in general have good ideas, all of these pieces that really are required for having a successful life, goes offline when we're dysregulated. And so oftentimes our focus is shot, our productivity is shot, we get into negative moods, like all these things happen when our nervous system is dysregulated. So it's just becoming more and more prevalent, I think, in general, for people to recognize, wow, this is a foundational piece of my health and success overall to regulate my nervous system. So we created a meditation series that helps you, as you're going to bed, really wind down, get to shake off the day, set yourself up for a good rest. And also we've got an alarm set as well, so that you can, when you're waking up in the morning, that you can get your foot off on the right start.
The alarm is nice. That is really cool to like gently get in touch with your nervous system and body in the morning. That is good.
Yeah.
Morgan, is there like a short version that we could do now for our listeners on the nightly, or like a tool that you could give us to start that kind of nervous system rest?
Yeah, sure. How long would you like it to be?
I think just like a minute or two, right? Does that sound right, KP?
Sounds lovely.
Cool. We can start with one of my favorite breathing exercises. This is called the physiological sigh. And biologically, we do naturally do it, but I love that breath can both be a conscious thing and an unconscious thing. So if we can just consciously bring our awareness to our breath, we're going to essentially, I'll walk you through it, and then I'll do it together. So what it's going to look like is a full inhale, and then right at the top of your inhale, you're going to take in an extra sip. And then on the exhale, we'll have a deep exhale, but we're just going to make like a sighing noise or whatever feels comfortable.
Cool.
So we'll take a big deep inhale in all the way up, and take that extra sip on the top. Just hold, and then exhale and some sort of and just release all the way out. And we're going to do that one more time. Full inhale. Little sip at the top. And then exhale. And I love that one because just noticing how different we feel even within 2 of those breaths, I just notice how much slower I am, how much more calm I feel, how much more focused. So I love that one because oftentimes we can get in our heads, oh, it needs to be this hour-long meditation. It needs to be this yoga practice. It needs to be this complex routine, where actually 2 breaths can change things. So I love that one.
Thank you so much. That's really wonderful.
Yeah, the second one I'll do is taps into bilateral stimulation. And bilateral stimulation is essentially a fancy way of saying that you're activating both hemispheres of your brain. So we're going to be putting our hands, if you can't see me, it's almost like Napoleon Dynamite, with the the butterfly, what they did back in the day. I'm dating myself.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So we're going to butterfly on our collarbones. So it's just crossing your hands over each other, and then we'll alternate tapping to the left and right. And just whatever pace feels good for you. You can be nice and slow. You can be faster. And this is literally just activating both hemispheres of your brain, helping bring on your parasympathetic nervous system. And this is helping our nervous system really be told, I'm safe, I'm okay, I can slow down, I can turn on my rest and digest. And it's really that simple. You can do that for a minute, 5 minutes, however feels good. I often will pair this with the breathing that we just did. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, those can be called butterfly taps or butterfly hugs. People call it different things. But at a bigger branch, that's called bilateral stimulation to activate both hemispheres of your brain like that. Yeah.
Does the crossing help with that? Like, does it help that your right hand is going to your left side of your body? Or is that?
It's a good question. I think it's just the comfortability instead of tapping both of your hands. But you can actually, I like working with my clients doing very subtle nervous system regulation in public. And one of the things that I have people do will tap their knees underneath a table. And see, I'm doing it right now and you can't even see me. I could be doing that this whole podcast episode and you wouldn't see me. And so even if as long as you're using both sides of your body and
Very cool.
and alternating. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, that was truly amazing. Even in that small mini one, I do feel more open in all things. That was lovely. Mm-hmm. And listeners, if you do want more of that, you can check out the Nervous System Rest channel on Hatch. Now, before we wrap, Morgan, is there anything our listeners should be checking out that you have been working on? We mentioned a book. Anything else?
Yeah, so I've got an entire program. It's called the 7-Center System. So we help people make custom nervous system regulation routines in the morning and night. And we have a whole program that helps them rewire their brains and their underlying patterns. So some of the things that I was talking about of priming your brain to really be able to manifest the things that you want and be able to just get down to underlying patterns that aren't serving you anymore and helping rewire those. That's what me and my team do.
Amazing.
Yeah. You can find me on social media at Mind's Eye Guidance. It's MIND.PSY.guidance. And also you can find more about my program and my whole system at 7centersystem.com.
And Morgan, on this show, we like to say goodnight to each other, of course, but we also like to throw a goodnight to anyone that you think might want or need a very special goodnight. Do you have anyone in mind?
I'll say goodnight to my mom.
Oh, good.
Yeah, she's listening, I know. So good night, Mom. Love you.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Morgan. This was so fascinating. And I honestly, the breathing, the tapping, I'm so ready for bed. So good night, Morgan. Good night,
Good night.
KP.
Good night, Josh. Good night, Morgan. And good night, Morgan's mom.